Looping over a collection such as a list is a very common task that every Java developer needs to perform frequently. We generally use a for loop for that. Java provides a dedicated object which is called iterator. In today's video, we will take a deep dive into Java iterators. We will cover following topics. What is an iterator? How to use an iterator? What is the benefit of an iterator? An iterator is an object that is used to loop through a collection such as a list, one element at a time. Iterator is a general computer programming term not specific to Java language, but Java has a dedicated construct with this name, and so we will call it an iterator. Iterator is an interface in Java inside java.util package. An iterator in Java is an object that implements iterator interface. Iterator always iterates over a collection in forward order. You cannot reverse the order of iteration using an iterator. All collections such as list and set have an iterator method, which gives us an object of iterator to loop through them. In this section, we will understand how to use an iterator to loop or iterate over a list. Let's create an array list first and add some elements to it. As stated before, we can get an iterator over a list using its iterator method. Assign this to an iterator object. Iterators are of generic type, so we need to define the type of objects they will be looping upon, and this is the same as the type of the collection. So, in this case, it will be a string since the list is of string elements. If you are working on Eclipse, then you do not need to write this assignment manually. Simply press Ctrl 1 and select Assign to New Local Variable. I have recently published a video of 15 useful Eclipse shortcuts where this is covered. You can check that out. Now, iterator has two methods that are used to iterate over a collection. Next, which gives the next element of the collection. When called for the first time, it will return the first element. When called second time, it will give the second element and so on. hasNext. Before calling next, it is a good practice to call hasNext, which returns true if there is an element ahead of iterator's current position, which means that the iterator is not at the last position. If there is no element left, then hasNext will return false. If the iterator is at the last element and you call next, it will throw no such element exception. So, to iterate over a collection, we use a while loop, which runs till hasNext returns true. Inside the loop, get the current element using its next method. The return type of next will be the same as the generic type of iterator or the collection. Let's run this. It prints all the elements of the list, and this is how we use an iterator over a collection. We can also use a for loop instead of while loop. This for loop will only require middle or condition section. This is because we have already initialized an iterator here, and we do not need to increment or decrement anything. This syntax looks a bit weird, and so iterators are mostly used with while loop only. Let's comment this out. Let's add a vegetable to this list of fruits. And we will remove this while looping over it with a for loop. Check if the current item is carrot. Then remove. Also print the list after the loop to verify that the carrot is removed from it. Let's run this, but before that, could you take a guess at what this line will print? We will check this out. Oops, we get an error which is concurrent modification exception. This exception is thrown when you modify a list while iterating over it. With an iterator, You can get away with this exception while iterating over the list and removing an element at the same time using its remove method. Comment this for loop now and uncomment the iterator block. Check if the current element is a caret. Call iterator.remove. Print the list after the while loop. Let's run this. Look, we do not get any exception and caret is removed from the list. So, anytime you need to iterate over a collection and remove an element at the same time, then use an iterator for that. Remember that remove will remove the element that was returned by the iterator's next method. So, a quick question for you. Let's say we call iterator.next twice and then call remove method. Then which element do you think will be removed? It will be banana. Let's run and verify. Banana it is. So, we saw what is an iterator and how to use it to loop through a collection, how it will help us remove concurrent modification exception, and how does iterator's remove method work. Hope the video was useful and we will meet again in the next one.